Hello and welcome to another episode of Co-Founders Insight. I'm your host, Timothy Lau. Today with me is Dr. Kennedy Wong, a solicitor, and also one of our co-founders of the Hong Kong Coalition. And we're going to talk about the strategic planning of the 14th five-year plan, as well as the opportunities for Hong Kong's, especially in the legal and professional sectors. Welcome, Kennedy.
Thank you, Timothy. Thank you.
Yep. I know that you have had a lot of experiences doing business and legal practices in the mainland, all the way back in the early 1990s. Can you tell us more about your experience?
Well, actually, my family, are lawyers, and my father has practiced in Hong Kong for 60 years, and my son is also a qualified lawyer. So basically, 3 generations of lawyer. My father told me that he first went into mainland China in 1979. He was invited to visit Beijing, and then subsequently in 1986 he was appointed by the then Minister of Justice as one of the Hong Kong attesting officers. And I myself, I studied law in England, and I returned to Hong Kong in 1985. Ever since then, I've been very much involved with our law firm's China practice, and I was actually head of our firm's China practice, and I had to travel frequently between Hong Kong and various parts of mainland China. In 1992, our firm opened a representative office in Shanghai. In fact, in those days, we were the first non-local firm to open up in the mainland. And then, I helped some H-shares company to list in Hong Kong, when our security market kind of opened up. And actually these days, if we look at the Hong Kong stock market, H-shares and so-called red chips account for nearly 2/3 of our total market capitalization. So really, I've seen in the past 30 to 40 years how mainland China has grown and how that has really benefited Hong Kong.
So during these 30 years, have you noticed any changes or differences of legal or business practices in mainland China? And also, how would you describe the legal system in the mainland now?
Well, actually, Timothy, there has been a lot of changes. Reform in both the judicial system as well as the legal system in mainland China. First of all, our Chinese constitution has been amended many times. And then our courts, the area in relation to resolution of dispute, in particular for international businesses and finance, have really developed and evolved. These days, for example, if we look at the Greater Bay Area, a lot of dispute resolution are done by arbitration. As we all know, our Secretary for Justice in Hong Kong, she is an expert in the field of arbitration. And actually, we have also seen recently that our ex-CJ, Chief Justice, now is also into arbitration. So, arbitration as a way to resolve, in particular, commercial disputes, that has really helped a lot of foreign companies in their investment. And I think in the Greater Bay Area, we, Hong Kong legal profession, will have a much bigger role to play. Younger legal professionals will have a lot of area to develop. And I think that would also include barristers as well as solicitors.
So when we're talking about arbitration in the Greater Bay Area, actually we're talking about places like Shenzhen or Qianhai, right? So how would you, what advice would you give these youngsters, especially for young legal practitioners? How can they seize this opportunity?
Well, first of all, we have seen in the press reporting that about 600 plus, Hong Kong professionals have entered the recent exam, for obtaining the qualification to practice civil law in the Greater Bay Area. I think that's a very good start. Actually, I have a few friends. One actually is over 60 who has taken part in this examination. I think, the GBA, which includes 9 cities in mainland and Hong Kong and Macau, special administrative regions, will gradually merge into, a really vibrant economic hub. I think this hub in the future will require a lot of dispute resolution assistance. And I think Hong Kong is well positioned because we have been the arbitration center of Asia for a very long time. In Hong Kong, our GDPs, if you multiply that by 3, that would be our trade volume. So Hong Kong is for sure a trading hub. So Hong Kong is, a lot of businesses are very much internationally focused as well as mainland focused. So I think in terms of trading and interacting with the GBA area, and Hong Kong will be able to take advantage. And I think legal professionals are services that have to revolve around all these businesses. So I am very optimistic about the growth of this region, as well as the growth of the opportunities, for Hong Kong legal professionals.
I see. So in fact, I've read a report, a forecast statistics done by the IMF recently about how their forecast is quite bullish, because they think that the post-COVID-19 economy in this area, especially in the Greater Bay Area, is quite good. What do you think about that?
Well, yeah, I also read the same IMF forecast, which actually expects Chinese GDP to grow by 8.1% this year, 2021, and Hong Kong's GDP to rebound by 4.6%. Well, Hong Kong, we are still, going through this, COVID crisis. So I would say that in order to capture this rebound, I think all sectors here, the business sectors, the professional sectors, including our legal sector, we have to really look at all the opportunities arising in the GBA, Greater Bay Area, as well as our national development. A month ago, Premier Li Keqiang announced the 14th five-year plan, and that actually has, Hong Kong very focusedly pitched into an international aviation hub, as well as strengthening our traditional trade and shipping centers. So I think Hong Kong is very much linked with mainland in terms of economic development. I think if we're able to understand the GBA development and understand our national development, and then grasp the opportunities arising therefrom, Hong Kong's economy will be able to rebound. As per the IMF forecast. But if we don't understand the GBA, and if we don't merge with our national development, then we may not be able to achieve this rebound. These are only forecasts. So we are seeing our motherland's economy growing by 8% this year, maybe even more, and we'll be behind. So I think all sectors in Hong Kong, we should really look at this carefully.
Well, just a follow-up question on that. Are there any policy areas or legal areas that can be improved to enhance the cooperation and ties?
Well, I think there are many areas that Hong Kong, Macau, have to integrate with these mainland cities, to form one large GBA area. One area that I can think of is, how do we move our database across, because I actually had the opportunity to attend a conference in Guangzhou last week, and honestly it was quite a hassle these days to go over, because in Hong Kong we don't have the health link, the app that is used in Guangdong. A lot of my friends who have businesses in the GBA area, they if they want to go to a hospital in the mainland, their medical record in Hong Kong cannot be moved over. So how do we facilitate the moving around of relevant data in accordance with the law? So this is one area that we have to overcome, because that would also apply to the legal practice, as well as a lot of professional practices.
Okay, apart from these, let's talk about the exchange of talent. Because I see that you are the council member of the China Law Society, as well as the president of the Hong Kong Council Member Association. So, how would you see, for example, the electoral reform in Hong Kong? How can legal professions from both Hong Kong and mainland have more communication?
Yeah. I think we all understand that the electoral reform, as decided by our National People's Congress Standing Committee, is very crucial for Hong Kong's continued development. I think, for example, if we look at our legal sort of functional constituency, council members representing Hong Kong who sit on the National Council of the China Law Society, they'll be able to join. Some of them will be able to join the election committee. This is one example. And then, basic law committees, Hong Kong members will also be allowed to join. I think these are very good steps forward to facilitate, more exchange between Hong Kong and the mainland. And then these people, they are Hong Kongers, they're Hong Kong permanent residents, sort of well-established Hong Kong legal professionals, and they also understand the mainland. They also have their official position. So I think more of these people joining the election committee will mean that our legislators in the future, as well as our chief executive, they will, put their minds and efforts into integrating Hong Kong into mainland, in particular for economic development and improving people's livelihood.
So today, thank you, Dr. Kennedy Wong, for sharing with us. It's been fruitful and rewarding. We'll see you next episode of our Co-Founders Insight. Thank you.
Thank you.